I sank into the green velvet armchair, the fabric cool against my palms, and tried to breathe through the heavy weight of the day. My home, which had always been a sanctuary of quiet afternoons and the smell of fresh coffee, had transformed into a battlefield without my realizing it. Derek, my son-in-law, had stormed in that morning like a tempest. He snatched the remote from my hands mid-sentence, his eyes blazing with entitlement. "To your room, old woman. The family room is mine now," he barked. My daughter Lena shrank in the corner, clutching grocery bags like they were shields. I studied them both silently. Derek, brimming with arrogance and ignorance of history, believed that shouting could rewrite the years of care, bills, and legal claims I had built. Lena, once the child who had clung to me for safety, now seemed uncertain of herself, unsure whose side she was on. For a moment I sat there, immobile. Then the quiet settled inside me like a stone. Anger and fear melted into focus. 35 years at the county recorder's office had taught me one thing. Words are cheap, documents are ironclad. My hands shook only slightly as I rose, not in fear, but in purpose. I left the room without a word, walking toward the hall closet where I kept years of legal papers, deeds, bills, and documents, each one a silent testament to the life I had built. Owner, Celeste M. Everson. That line on the deed glowed in my mind like a beacon. The house was mine. Always mine. Derek's voice, full of bravado, could not erase that. That night I sat in the kitchen, the moonlight spilling over the faded linoleum, and began cataloging every document. Deeds, bills of sale, letters, tax records. I stacked them in neat piles, careful not to miss anything. The quiet of the house allowed my mind to work, mapping a plan of action with precision. This wasn't about vengeance, it was about reclaiming what was rightfully mine. The next morning I called Andrew V. Sterling, an old colleague and lawyer who had retired from city practice, but still had a mind sharp enough to slice through legal complications. "Celeste," he said, voice still smooth and precise, "it's been a while. Tell me everything." I recounted Derek's intrusion, Lena's hesitation, the silent years they had claimed the space as their own. Andrew listened, only asking questions where clarity was needed, jotting notes and promising action. By the end of the day, notices were drafted, documents that spelled out their unauthorized occupancy, the law behind eviction, and the full rights of ownership were ready to be delivered. I left the envelopes on the table, feeling a sense of satisfaction that had nothing to do with anger and everything to do with order. Derek and Lena had relied on chaos and silence to claim power over me, but order, preparation, and law were far more effective. The delivery of notices was quiet but firm. Andrew handled it with professional distance, and I watched as Derek's arrogance met the immovable wall of authority. For the first time, Lena looked at me not just as a mother to appease, but as a woman asserting rightful control. There was no screaming, no pleading, only clarity. "The house is mine. You are temporary." 30 days later, Derek and Lena left with only what they could carry, the echoes of entitlement replaced by the hollow sound of footsteps and slammed doors. My house, once heavy with tension and the memory of shouting, now felt different. I opened the windows, letting sunlight pour in, scrubbed every floorboard, dusted every shelf, and cleaned the armchair as if it were a crown to be polished. The house smelled of clean wood, sunlight, and fresh possibility. And then I sat in that green velvet armchair, the remote finally in my hand, music filling the room, and understood something profound. Power does not come from noise or aggression. It comes from calm, preparation, and the quiet certainty of owning your life, your space, and your dignity. Derek's shouts were gone. The house was mine again. And for the first time in years, I felt the golden serenity of true authority.